The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by TyreSpot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. TyreSpot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel and podcast, and we are here with another match reaction. This time, I'm your host. I am joined by Andy and Ian as Newcastle United travel to the South Coast to face Brighton, the stomping ground, which we don't tend to like. But Newcastle managed to escape with a point, was salvaged a point at the end of it. It was a hard-fought point at the end of the day. Many may say Newcastle United were the better team throughout this one, but it was Brighton that opened the scoring. I'm going to start with you, Andy. Nobody was really looking forward to this one because everybody knows that's a Newcastle fan that we don't have the best of times on the South Coast. We do normally struggle when we are down there. But with recent form and the way the season has gone, it's a season where we're changing things as Newcastle fans. We're changing our point of view. The way we look at football games, we're changing things, Andy. But we still weren't confident.
I know, it didn't feel like a change at all. It felt like a game from back in the day, didn't it? Honestly, we obviously we've had some highs this season and talked about winning the cup and how this is what football's all about. This is what football's all about. Sat stressing, holding on to a 1-1 against a mid-table team. Honestly, I hated every minute of that. And I don't know what it is when you play these mid-table teams like Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth. Those teams, they just always cause me a lot more stress than anyone else. I don't know whether it's just because of the history we've got going to these places, but it was just another one of them. I mean, it had everything, obviously. 3 penalties, one of them that was actually a penalty, 2 of them that were a bit dodgy, which I'm sure we'll get onto. Chances at both ends, last-minute scrambles, stress. It was just like
seemed to
just
be
one of them.
The last few games, they've been quite eventful, haven't they, really? Not many goals, but eventful games.
Well, yeah, eventful. And we said on the preview that both of these teams have conceded goals. Brighton have conceded tons of goals. And all the way through the game, we were just thinking, surely we're going to break them down eventually. But yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the 2 penalties. There was some dodgy tackles going in. There was was it Van Hecke who put in a tackle when he was on a yellow, didn't get booked, and then was immediately hooked off.
Yeah.
Both sets of fans saying you're not fit to referee.
Typical
so I
Premier
think that
League
sums it up, really.
Typical Premier League game. I'm going to come to you, Ian. Let's just start going through the likes of the main talking points of this one. Obviously, the opening goal comes from ex-Newcastle United player. I find it really weird saying ex-Newcastle United player when I'm talking about Minty. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? A weird scenario, and the commentators love it. It's, of course it was going to happen. Yeah, we knew, of course we did. But Minty scores against Newcastle again, and I think we need to look at our defendant for this one, Ian, because it was shambolic.
Yeah, it's quite. I think we do. There's a little bit of I thought initially it was a foul, and then when I seen it back, it wasn't. Where there's a come together with Trippier, and I can't remember who it was, and then ball goes back out. They get put in. I think it's Tino heads it away. But then they
which is a fairly decent header to clear the ball away from your box.
He gets it out of the box. It's just we didn't pick the seconds up, and then drop it into Minty, who cuts inside, and then I don't think Tino could have done any better, really. I think he's just too quick for Tino. I thought, by all accounts, Tino had quite a poor game today, actually, both going forward and defensively. But I don't think he could do more than what he did. I think it's Tonali that was quite poor for me. With that, he kind of anticipates the shot's going to happen, and I almost think that Minty was probably going to take a shot. But if you look again, the ball kind of gets away from him. Then he regroups and has the shot and takes a little nick in. But I think Roy Keane said it at half time when sort of someone cuts inside, you need to be right up on him to block the shot, and we didn't do that. But I thought overall, I think that was their their first and only shot in the first half. I think I wouldn't say like dominated or like were the much better side, but I feel like the way the play was going, the flow of the play, I felt like we not had more clear-cut chances, but definitely looked like we were going to score more than what they did. And to go in 1-0 down was really, really frustrating. And then, to be fair, the other 45 minutes until the penalty in the 88th minute was really, really frustrating. What, like Andy said, I hate playing Brighton, like home or away. It's just absolutely like the worst place to go because we never do well there. They always turn up. And to be fair, Brighton are a decent footballing side. I just hate playing them, and I'm glad we came away with a point, actually.
I think I understand why Crystal Palace hate them. I think we just make up our own little derby with them now.
the Yankuba Minty derby.
Dan Burn derby, what are you talking about, man? It was Wifa, wasn't it, Andy?
Yeah.
It was Wifa, wasn't it? The 2 yellow cards. That I was just been looking at it was Wifa because he made the first challenge, then like you said, he makes the second one, then he's immediately taken off. And you're thinking, well, that's just kind of telling what everybody's just witnessed there. And do you feel as if the referee bottled that decision a little bit? Yes, Wifa gets the ball. It's against Tonali, isn't he? He gets the ball. But it's a hefty challenge. Like he goes in, it's his trailing foot that makes the challenge on Tonali and hits his ankle, I believe it was. And you've seen them given, like if he hasn't already been booked, that's his first yellow card all day long. Like the referee doesn't even make a second thought about that. It's a booking all day long. So what's the difference between the second challenge? I just don't get it.
Well, there is no difference, but it's just this unwritten rule in football, isn't it? Where to get a second yellow, you've got to do more. And I don't know whether it was still like early-ish in the game where the referee didn't want to sort of like spoil the game, but I never really understand that. If it's a yellow card, it's a yellow card. I think he bottled quite a few decisions, and obviously he was effectively bailed out by VAR twice for the 2 penalties. Because the Gordon one was, I mean, to be fair, the Gordon penalty, it looked like it was inside the box because of the way he carried the ball in.
Yeah.
But the Willock one's such a blatant dive. But I think they may have got away with that. And you saw Herzl when he brought the player off. He gave him a bit of a look as if to say, "Yeah, I'm saving you here because you." There was tackles going in. I mean, there was a few. I think Minter made quite a few fouls as well and didn't get a yellow card. And there was a couple of little fouls like that. So yeah, not another game where the referees haven't sort of covered themselves in glory at all. But it was just one of those games where there was loads of little scrappy fouls, loads of little annoying ones. There was one in the first half where Willock did pretty well to like body the Brighton player and win the ball back, and he gave a foul for that straight away. So you kind of knew how the game was going to go with the referee.
It was strange. Just sticking with the referee, and just in regards to match before that got the first yellow card. Then we're talking about the second one, which he managed to dodge. So I'm just looking through the match commentary, and he makes his first foul. I believe it was. I've just got it in front of us, right? So he makes his first foul on the 31st minute. He then follows that up with another one straight afterwards. So that's when he gets his yellow card. Then it's just after the second half kicks off. Then that's the one when he makes one where we're talking about now. It's on the 51st minute. He makes that next one, which the referee bottles. Then he's subbed off on the 54th minute. So we knew exactly what the referee should have done at that point. But I'm going to take my Newcastle United specs off for just a second. And this was a bit of a debate in our WhatsApp group. Dan Boom, the challenge that he puts in early on, and he manages to dodge a yellow card as well. A lot of people saying that is that Minty as well that dodges the challenge. Yeah, people are saying he jumps out with the challenge. I'm not so sure if he does jump out with the challenge. I still think there's the connection there between Dan Burn and him. Dan Burn, it's a ridiculous decision because you know for fine well he's just trying to clatter him. Just to take him out because he's already dodged 2 challenges to get this far up the field, and Dan Burn comes bundling in. It's similar to what we see with Fabian Shaw at times, Ian, where he just wipes a player out. And yes, if we've got to look at it, you're thinking, well, maybe Dan Burns dodged that one there as well.
Yeah, I thought in general, like you say, taking your black and white hat off, thought the referee was poor in general. Even like, I know what Andy was saying about Minty, where it was like persistent foul, and I think he made maybe 3, 4, 5 fouls that totting them up would be yellow. I thought Bruno did the same as well. Dan Burn was very lucky not to get booked for that challenge. But yeah, it was a weird one. The Wi is it Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi?
I'm just making it up as I go along.
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, if you want to
Virgin
go with
Media.
Because he got booked for, if I remember rightly, I think it was Willock was holding the ball up and he kind of just falls on Willock, and then Isak goes to play Tino in down the left, but he grabs onto the ball. So
that's what he got booked for. Yeah.
But I think I very much agree with you. I think it's if he isn't on a yellow card, that the referee shows a yellow card for that challenge. Yes, he does get the ball, but it's his follow through, and when you watch it up like slow mo, it does look bad. But I think it looks even worse like full speed because he absolutely clatters them. So, and if I'm honest, I thought the free kick that led to the penalty that we actually got. When I first saw it, I thought that's definite free kick. But then
which penalty? the successful penalty.
The 83rd one that was off. No, the successful one. I think looking at it, I think Barnes anticipates it. There is probably a little bit of contact. I'll have to see it again. But on the second viewing, I wasn't so sure that he actually made contact with Barnes. But
he does. So he does make contact. I think Barnes has already anticipated the challenge coming in, just leaves his foot dangling a little bit. He knows that's coming.
To be fair,
it's a free kick.
It's a class turn, like a really, really good turn. But then what really, really annoyed me is as a Newcastle fan, obviously I wanted all three of those penalties. You look at the first one, Gordon's clearly outside the box. You watch that once, maybe twice, and you're like, right, yeah, outside the box. Continue to view it. The Willock one, you can see, you showed him a few different angles. You can see there's no contact. And then the handball one, the kid literally gets down, he pulls off an absolute mint save in the wall, and he's looking at it for about 20 minutes, and you're like,
they're always terrible angles as well that they show.
His hand is literally...
You always see the best angle in the Sky Sports studio after.
It's
the actual
crazy.
VAR angles are terrible.
It's crazy. So sticking, if we go through them one by one, the first one, which was the Gordon one, you knew straight away, I agree with you, you knew straight away that was outside of the box. So I think what they may have been looking at to see where his foot was planted at that point, because if his foot was planted inside the box, it's a penalty, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows that. But it wasn't, and it was clear as day that it was a free kick. The second one, which was the Joe Willock one, the angle that they kept on showing was so far away. I think the camera was in Newcastle at one point because it was so zoomed out. And you're thinking, why is it so zoomed out? And there was a player blocking the challenge as well, in between, so you couldn't see this connection at all. But then afterwards, you saw in the Sky Sports studio, there's another camera angle from the other side where you could see there was about a yard between the defender's foot and Joe Willock's planted foot. There's a full yard, so you could see straight away there's no connection whatsoever. So you're thinking, why is this taking so long as well? That was frustrating. Then, like you mentioned, the third one, which is eventually awarded, yes, we'll see straight away that it's a handball, and it actually changes the direction of the ball because the ball's going towards goal, then it bounces down over. You see the flight of the ball change. But then once again, they're showing the referee. Yeah, they're showing a referee this weirdest angle where it looks like they're trying to figure out if it's hit off the player's hand or if it's hit off Welbeck's stomach. And you're thinking, what's going on here? Then they start looking at a possible offside. And I'm thinking, what difference does it make? What difference if somebody's offside? The player's ahead of him? What difference does it make at all?
It went to the first, going back to the first one as well. It showed you the angles of where the foul was, but then it went back to show Gordon taking the ball down. I almost thought they were checking to see if he handballed it there.
What a touch!
It was a class take. He was really, really good. The first sort of 5-10 minutes when he came on, it looked really, really explosive. But yeah, we say it every week, VAR and whatever. It's just absolutely ruining the game. There's absolutely no need to have 9 extra minutes, albeit we nearly won the game in those 9 minutes. We also nearly lost the game in those 9 minutes, but it takes 30 seconds to look at, especially when it's clear cut like that. You're like, right, that's outside the box. That's a dive. That's a blatant handball. Why do they have to constantly see?
The whole point is that they're meant to be looking at it all the time. It's not like they wait for a team to say, can you look at that? But it's they only start looking after 20 seconds after the foul's being given. So it just makes no sense. And you live in a world where we've got offsides being done by 3D renders of the pitch and stuff like that. But then we can't get the referee a decent camera to see whether he's actually touched him. But I think
But
they're
then
just so
again-
sremember to make the wrong decision because they've obviously had some absolute stinkers.
But
like
then
in
you
the
look
first
at
part of the
because
season.
they appeal for a penalty where I can't remember who it is, but they look for a penalty and it's waved away
Was
straight
it-
away. It's
Was
like,
it on
gone through
Tonali where
yeah, it's
he
Tonali
gets
one.
he gets
Yeah.
in front of whoever it was? I think
Yeah.
it's Matt O'Reilly, maybe.
Yeah, it's that one where Claire straight away, and you think, well, you've done that really quickly. Like, I don't get it. Honestly, I don't get it. I can't see it improving anytime soon either.
No.
Because the referee there, you see straight away, he's made 2 calls and VR's overturned both of them. So it's an embarrassing day for the referee. He's then bottled a second bookable events to send a player off. So he's bottled that, and you're thinking, Jesus, Paulson's not the greatest anyway. Like,
So without VAR, we win this 4-1 basically.
exactly.
So,
Well,
Yeah.
you say that, but if they had went down to 10, you know for a fact that we wouldn't have been able to break them down at all. And no, to be fair, in that second half, I thought, even in the first half, I thought there was some nice little passages of play. It was literally just the final ball. But then there's so many times where, like, I think it might have been Tino went to play Gordon in and just kicked it out for a goal kick.
He
Joe
overhit
Willock
them.
just running into the stand for. It's like, should I tell you what it was like when you're on FIFA and your controller runs out of battery and the game just continues?
It's like when you accidentally flick the right stick and you hoof it miles out every time.
But touching on Joe Willock, like, because someone made a comment, I think it might have been Besties said that he was carrying the ball well in the first half, and to a degree, I thought he made some good passes to open up play, and he did get forward. He was doing that a bit better, but my patience with Joe Willock is like less than zero now.
He looked more confident after.
Yeah.
Like,
but then
previously, he looked terrified to go near the ball. He actually looked like he was trying to get involved a bit more, but then his football ability is just like disappeared.
It's like non-existent. And I think Scott might have said in the preview or the pre-game show that he's blown hot and cold, but I genuinely just think he's been freezing cold all season. I don't remember a good game. Yes, he scored those 2 goals against Birmingham, but I mean, one came off Willasula's face off the bar and onto him or something, wasn't it? So, which is sad because obviously when we had him on loan, he did look a player. Even the season after, he still looked quite good. But it was, I think, maybe his last season when he had that injury, he's come back and he's completely shot of all confidence that he had, and he's just sort of fallen by the wayside in games now.
Well, I think it's been one of the topics that's been on a lot of fans' minds, especially with obviously we'll find out the news now of Jordan could possibly be missing the rest of the season, Andy. And the argument was did Joe Willock come and get that spot, or does it go to somebody like Miley or Longstaff? And I mentioned the pre-game show, you're probably ruling out Longstaff at this point, and you're probably putting it between Joe Willock and Miley. And I've always been a fan of Willock. I really have done. And I've always said that maybe it's because a typical Newcastle fan, or typical any football fan, to be fair, the longer a player seems to not get a game, the better it becomes in your mind, and you remember the better moments from that player than what you do with the poorer ones. And I think that's typical of what we're seeing with Willock now. I think I'm probably similar to Ian. The more I see him now, I'm thinking, your days are probably numbered now, because you're feeling to impress when you're getting the chances. And we'll see a couple of times, and I put it in the WhatsApp group earlier on that he's overrun the ball similar to what Obertan used to do. And like 10 minutes after I sent it, he just ran the ball off the field.
You don't want.
Yeah, he just ran it off the field straight afterwards, and you're thinking, how air, mate? Then we'll look at the penalty as well. Well, I'm saying the penalty that he claims. It's an overhit touch as well. That touch, he just absolutely overhits it. Like, honestly, and you're thinking, well, if we want to progress as a football club and have a constant place in the Champions League and compete for titles and more cups and more silverware, I don't think Joe Willock's the answer, even coming off the bench. I just don't think he is.
No, and like you say, it is a shame, and we made the point in the preview, and you may have said it in the pre-match show as well about Willock and that you need a run of games, but we're in a position now where you don't have time for a run of games, not just at this point in the season, but even looking at next season, if we're looking to be up there, as we've seen these couple of years we've pushed for Champions League, you basically have to win every game. It's mad. And we can't really afford to have any passengers, especially the way we play. We obviously play quite high-risk football. If you turn the ball over in a bad area, we're committing a lot of men forward. We've done quite a day, just quite a lot just today in this game. today. And I mean, to be fair, Willock wasn't the only culprit. I think Tonali had probably his first off game, giving the ball away.
Yeah.
A few
Tino,
times,
like
but
Ian said, Tino is so sloppy.
But yeah, just staying on Willock. I think we can all see why Howe has put him in tactically, because he has got that physicality. He's quick still. He's athletic. He's like for Joel in a sense, in that he's a ball carrier. He's going to be good in the high press and but then he's like a stripped back version of Joel Linton. He's not
It's like
strong
Joel
anymore.
Linton Wish. That's what he is.
Yeah, I know, and it's a shame. I think you hit the nail on the head, to be honest, when you say we all just think about the best Willock. Weirdly, the Steve Bruce Willock who scored like 9 games in a row. And
The
then
one player that did well.
Yeah, and then that first Champions League run season, the first full Eddie Howe season, when he was playing Travella passes 30 yards across the pitch and setting up Isak, and we all just want that Willock back. But unfortunately, I think the team has just grown beyond him a bit. So hopefully we can. He's going to be in that group of players, similar to maybe someone like Wilson, who nearly scored absolute worldie at the end, by the way. Just one of those groups of players that you just want to sort of wave off into the sunset and say cheers for everything, but we're moving on.
Yeah, it's a difficult call that we'll have to make, because we're in such a strange point now as a football club, Ian, where you're looking at the future and building a squad, so you can't necessarily let too many players go. And we're already talking about the likes of Wilson leaving as well, and replacing a couple of other players. But I think Willock's probably on that list as well right now. I think you're probably looking at Wilson, Willock, and Longstaff. That the 3 that you'd probably be happy to move on to update the squad, not necessarily just starting positions, but just bulking that squad out with a bit of better talent. I don't want to turn turning into a slagger match of Joe Willock, like far from it, because we all know there is a decent player in there. Not too late. We knew there's a decent player in there. It's just today wasn't his day, and I don't think this season's been his season. And I think a lot of people now looking at that will think, right, next game you're looking at Miley. I'll be shocked if it's not Miley coming in there. Like I really will be, but it's Eddie Howe's a Premier League manager, not me. And like you said, in his pre-match game conference, that he's got trust in Willock. I'm not sure if that trust is still there after today. Yes, those glimpses throughout the game, certain spells, but then you look at it and flip the coin the other way around and think, well, he done a lot of bad things in that game as well. But he wasn't the only one, so we can't just pinpoint him. But let's get to our goal, Ian.
Yes.
It's another penalty for Alexander Isak, and another game where he couldn't really get involved. He had to do the Harry Kane role, where he had to drop deep to find the ball, because the service just wasn't there at all. It's turned out to be a frustrating end of season for Isak. I would say, yes, he is getting on the score sheet, but I honestly thought he'd be going for Golden Boot. I think you'd be up there challenging Salah, but Salah so far ahead now. He's just overtaken Holland, hasn't he?
Holland.
Yes, but he is injured.
He's been injured for
so that
months.
helps. Yeah, that does help. And you're just thinking the service just doesn't seem to be there. Yes, there was a game a couple of weeks back where he missed every single opportunity that came his way. But the last couple of games, this one and the Ipswich one, it seems that he's having to fight for the ball, which is strange.
Yeah, I don't know if he's carrying an injury, and then obviously the only person really pushing him for his plays is Wilson, who is Mr. Injured. That being said, I thought he did all right when he came on, to be honest. But yeah, it's a weird one. It doesn't look like the Isak that went through that period of like 3-4 months where he was like just the best player in the world. Like you say, he was having to come quite deep for a lot of it. There was times as well where I think it was your Dan Burn header that didn't get counted as an attempt.
How that hasn't counted as a shot on target when he hits the ball with his head towards goal.
I don't think it would have made it to the goal. It was going that slowly.
But yeah, you can see what Dan Burn was trying to do there. He's just trying to cushion it into a place for Isak. And I felt like Isak sometimes when he was getting service, or there was little balls like that where he could have like gambled or sort of got into a good area, he was on his heels. So I don't know if he's carrying a little knock, or he's just absolutely goosed from being Ballon d'Or winner this season for the last 3 months.
I don't think it helped how Tonali was sitting so deep as well.
Yeah, there was a massive gap between the midfield and the front line. But flip that on its head. He obviously hasn't had the most sort of prolific of games, and he's still got on the score sheet, so you can't really grumble. And I hate watching any penalties because I think it showed a graphic he's missed one, and it was just that kind of game today where he wasn't that involved and didn't really have a lot to do. I just thought he's going to absolutely tank this, and we're going to lose. They're going to go the other end and score. I think I said this game's got 2-0 written all over, but thankfully it was an absolutely class penalty. Very reminiscent of.
It must be Terry. Terry did with that.
Terry?
It must be very tough. I've drank all the way from the pre-show to this point. It must be very tough for a goalkeeper to try and anticipate an Alexander Isak penalty because he doesn't have a spot. He just hits it anyway.
It was very Shola Amiobi-esque as well. He proper wraps his foot around it, and I think he's had a couple this season, or it might have been last season, where it might have been the one against West Ham where we won 4-3 last season, where he was scuffing them but still scoring.
Yeah.
But it was a brilliant penalty. He's low and hard. I think if the keeper goes the right way, he's getting nowhere near it because of the pace on it. So yeah, like I say, it's frustrating. It was a frustrating game all round from sort of start to finish. But it's nice to see him on the score sheet, and like I say, to take a point from somewhere where we're absolutely horrendous, is to me a real positive, and we could have potentially won it sort of towards the end with Wilson's chance as well. Like I say, he came on, he looked the whole play up and sort of get the wingers and Isak involved as well. So he was unlucky. It was a class save, and I quite like Verbruggen, to be honest. But
it was a great save, yeah.
Class save. So
it was a Pope-esque save, that strong hand over the bar. Very Pope-esque.
He made a good one right before we got the third penalty as well. Was it Wilson who headed one, and he made an unreal save that probably won't get.
Where it was the whistle had already blown, but Wilson should have scored, and he pushes it kind of out towards the corner. A really good save, but I thought we're lucky not to lose it as well. Like I said before, where they had that free kick, it's a class ball in, and the bloke's absolutely free as a bird and ends up heading it out for a throw in or something. Yeah.
The Yori that came on and it was an absolute sitter, to be fair.
And I'm sure it was him was it him or Gomez? I can't remember. Gomez, it was one of them had the header, one of them gave away the penalty. Yeah. But yeah,
you're right there. Yori gave away the penalty, I believe it. Yeah.
It was just one of those games where if that had went in, it would have just summed up the whole afternoon. But thankfully, like I say, we've come away with a point. We're still in a good position to finish top 4, top 5.
Chelsea are beating Liverpool.
Oh, bollocks.
So just to let people know, as we record this, Chelsea are currently playing Liverpool. Liverpool have made 6 changes to the starting 11, I believe it is. Bastards, absolute bellends for doing that.
Revenge for the Carabao.
When you was coming, do you know what it is? Everybody was talking about teams playing of Liverpool, and you're thinking, if you're playing Liverpool now, you're laughing, man. You're absolutely laughing.
They've gotten out to play for.
Absolute party mode, man.
It's not even they've got to keep the squad sharp as well for Champions League or anything. Their season's pretty
done
much
dusted.
Yeah,
absolutely done and dusted. But I think the main point of this, Andy, this game against Brighton was we'll leave there with something, which it didn't look like it was going to happen throughout that. But yes, we have left with a point. As I've said at the very start of this, it's a ground which we are quite fearful of when we do go there, because we normally stink the place out, or not necessarily that, or we'll get the opportunity, we just can't find the back of the net, we just can't do it. We'll get a point. We're still in the running. It's still in our hands right now. We are sat in 4th, I believe, right now. Depending, obviously, the result, which Chelsea goes. Chelsea need to win by 3 goals, I believe it is, to go above us. But then that just leads to that huge game next weekend as Chelsea come to St. James's Park. And we always knew that was going to be a huge one. It would have been nice to get an extra 2 points today at Brighton. It just didn't happen. But those signs there, I think once we got the equaliser, I was pretty confident that we're going to go on and nick it. I'm saying nick it. We're probably the better team throughout. But I think that we could have probably gone it. A typical game of 2 halves. I'm just looking back over the stats there. And if I compare the first half to second half, just from Newcastle's point of view there, we had 4 shots in the first half at goal. The second half, having 9. And even the possession stuff like that. It's everything's going our way in that second half, and you knew the lads had probably got a bit of a bollocking from anyhow, albeit a very quiet bollocking because we don't want him to raise his voice. But yeah, it's you could see it. You could see the changes were there in the second half. It's just there's a lot of people. I'd want to touch on something, Andy, before we go. A lot of people talking about how strong our bench was today, and I'm still scratching my head at this.
Yeah.
Do we have a strong bench?
No, it's awful.
Wasn't the two goalkeepers on it?
Like there was a couple of people odd. This is a strong bench because on the pre-show that I did with Scott and Roger, there's a couple of comments in saying, "Oh, it's good to see a strong bench." And I'm thinking, just because Gordon's on the bench, does that automatically make it a strong bench?
I think we're just so used to the bench being like. I mean, when we were in the Champions League, we had like 3 youth players in there. I mean, the bench. I mean, Botman. It's great to have him back. He obviously came on for a couple of minutes at the end. Immediately gave the ball away in the final third, which just added to the stress. Obviously, Dubravka's a good choice setting keeper. Some would still argue he should be ahead of Pope. I think Pope was just a quick point. I think he was really good off his line today. I think he did pretty well. Gordon, he's obviously mint. I think there's an argument to make that Gordon and Barnes could potentially play together in the next game.
I think we'll
Kraft
see that.
is an average bench option. He doesn't exactly set the world on fire. And then
he's just your typical bench player, isn't he?
Yeah, and Asula has obviously shown glimpses, but I trust that he can only do what Eddie Howe's given him to do. And Wilson, who it's a complete coin toss whether he impacts the game at all. So I still think the bench is weak. And you look at Brighton making changes constantly during the game, bringing on Veltman, who's an experienced player, Ayari, who's going to get a massive money move in the summer, probably Lamptey, who is a good option at fullback. Bench is still awful. We still got to improve it massively. And it's games like that where if we can bring off someone on the bench like, I don't know, Wissa instead of Wilson, we maybe win the game. But, at the end of the day, I think you're right. It's a good point. It's a complete bogey team and bogey ground. The only time we've beaten Brighton there was the ridiculous Modiame goal. And that was on like 80 minutes. And then we scored another one on 90 minutes. So, we always said win the home games and we've done it. Anything else is a bonus. So you've got to look at that as being a bonus. That's exactly the sort of game, like was it the Crystal Palace away game earlier in the season where it just felt like we were going to concede a last minute goal. And the fact that we didn't. It's a good omen, I think, because we played pretty well. It was just that final pass that was just a bit off.
We could wrap it up in the next couple of weeks, to be fair. Ian, obviously you've got Chelsea and Arsenal. Chelsea at home and Arsenal away. We've already beat Arsenal 3 times this season so far. So why not make it 4? And that's 6 points. 6 points in the bag. And you think, that's ours at that point. Obviously, it does depend on the rest of the fixtures and results going our way, which seem to happen over the last few months. That results have tended to land in our lap and we've capitalised on it. We're just going to do our work, aren't we? And you just look at today and go, it's Brighton away. Like, we weren't expecting anything.
To be fair, I was expecting we to come away with a loss. So anything more than that is a bonus, really. But like you say, it's still within our hands. I think that Chelsea have got us and Forest to play in their last 3
game of the
games.
season.
So that'll be huge. Someone's dropping points there. I think I haven't seen
Forest
how many
play
points.
Monday night, don't they?
Against I can't remember who they're playing against.
Can't remember.
Palace.
Palace. So by all accounts, that's not an easy game. So I think it's still definitely within my hands. I do want to quickly just touch on a player that I would have said maybe a year, 18 months ago, he should have been on his way out. But Kieran Trippier today was absolutely fantastic. He just everything sort of down their left-hand side. He was reading it really well. He was cutting the ball out. There was that chance where he got back where I think Cher then cleared it away. So you talk about sort of resurgence of players, but I think he's been absolutely tremendous. Sort of this.
There was a lovely moment as well later on in the game, later on in the second half, where Minty is having a foot race with Trippier, and Trippier's shit in his pants, and he thinks, all I need to do is get to this ball first and hit it as hard as I can, which he did successfully. But you're thinking, you're not winning this foot race, Kieran. But you're right, Ian. He's been great since he's came in there. A right back since obviously the injury to Lewis Hall, which has shifted Tino to the left hand side. He's been great, been phenomenal. And I'm not saying that's ruling out a move in the summer. I think it'll still be on the cards because it's probably that time where it'll probably work for both player and club in regards to us bringing money in and Trips getting a decent payout for the end of his career. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays. I really wouldn't. But that's a conversation that's way above our pay grade on this one.
We also need to talk about Minter and his celebration.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was so strange. Like,
is he
He
bipolar?
pointed at the away end and held his hands together in prayer as if to say sorry, but then started pointing at the ground to be like, "No, I'm here now." And then he goes to kiss the badge.
Then it's Welbeck that pushes him away, isn't it?
It's weird. It's like he was like, "Actually, I don't like Newcastle." He changes his mind halfway through. Weird as hell. I don't know what you thought of it.
Absolutely mental. I like because I obviously was seeing him do that celebration where similarly what you did at St James's Park, wasn't it? Where you put your hands together and you think, all right, fair enough. It pisses me off when players don't.
But it's weird
celebrate
because
anyway. Yeah, pisses off. I mean, even if you had to pay it for us for a season,
ground.
probably not. Probably not.
Where Dan Burn would have been knee sliding towards their fans.
That's what I mean. Honestly, it does me head in when players don't celebrate against previous clubs, and people will probably disagree with it, saying, "Oh, it's a mark of respect." It doesn't matter, man. Nobody cares at the end of the day. But then the fact that you went and start kissing the badge and stuff, this is weird. This whole everything that was just happening in the last 30 seconds is really weird. But I'm just thinking, has he tried to be quite gracious and say, "Oh, I'm not going to celebrate"? Then he's just heard one person just call him a prick or something.
Probably my daddy was in the front row today. He was probably giving him some abuse on that side.
And Mr. Burnham's been kicking right off our minute, which just made him start kissing his badge.
Runs in the family.
Yeah, it was weird.
All
hooligans getting kicked out of football grounds.
I haven't heard from him actually, so who knows where he is.
Anything else that you want to mention before we'll call it a day on this one?
No, just good that we've got a point. Get 3 next. Point. I think 3 next week. I think another 4 points this season. I think guarantees with. Obviously, I know Chelsea are winning at the minute, but I'm putting me red hat on and hoping Liverpool can come back. But yeah, like you say, it's a horrible ground, a horrible team. Not in the bad or anything. A really good team. We don't do good there, so to come away with something, a really good positive, to hopefully roll into next week when we beat Chelsea 18-0.
It's our first draw since December, isn't it?
Yeah, since I think on the previews it said since Liverpool the 3-3.
Yeah, it was Liverpool.
How out?
Last draw. bring back Tyndall, who was sat in the stands with his little earpiece in, like some sort of spy.
Agent Tyndall.
What's he doing up there, man? It's mad, isn't it? When a player's suspended, just stay at home. Tyndall's I'm still going to graph, man. Love it.
It's because that new range come out and he wanted his new tracksuit.
He was wearing that as well, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was, yeah. There you go then.
Yeah, he was. Right, thanks everybody who has been watching this one. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening back as an audio, we really do appreciate it. I'm going to do my usual spiel as I always do. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video, become a subscriber. It costs you nothing to do that. If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member. You do get early access to content and extra content throughout the season. There'll be even more stuff coming next season as well, because we are guaranteed European football no matter what happens. So there'll be more games, previews, reactions coming your way. If you're listening to the audio, just give us a review, a 5-star one, preferably. That always helps. And a little comment as well. But yeah, thanks, boys. What you was doing? Keep on climbing that Premier League table, and let's go and get second. See you later. Ta-ra.